to Medica Nova Wellness Studio. I'm Dr. Angelika Maria Koch with the educational videos about optimal health and the most innovative and holistic approach to your well-being. In my last video, I shared with you how you can heal insect bites and stings with natural and effective therapeutic tools. Today, let's take it a step further and explore how you can heal Lyme disease with natural solutions. Lyme disease, also known as Lyme borreliosis, is a tick-borne infectious disease which is caused by the bacteria Borrelia burgdorferi. In this video, I will share with you useful tips how to tackle this situation in a more holistic way. Enjoy! To stay updated with my ongoing videos, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, share and like it with your friends and families, and don't forget to click that bell as it notifies you every time I upload a new video. And thank you so much for your thumbs ups and likes. So what is Lyme disease? Well, it's quite a complicated infection that is caused by bacteria that's transmitted from a tick bite or an insect bite. The majority of cases of Lyme are due to a bite from a type of deer tick, we call it the black-legged tick, which can carry and pass on bacteria known as Borrelia burgdorferi or Borrelia mahoney in the US. In Europe and in Asia, we have different kinds like Borrelia afzeli and Borrelia garinini, and they are more the causative bacteria in this environment. It has also been found that other insects, even mosquitoes, fleas and spiders, could be the triggers. For transmission of bacteria from an infected tick to the human body, the tick needs to be attached to the body at least for 36 to 48 hours. The chances of developing Lyme disease goes actually quite low if the tick is removed within 2 days of exposure, so not everyone gets Lyme disease. The usual symptoms are that you feel like you have a flu, there's maybe headache, muscle and joint pain, but over time the symptoms can continue to worsen and turn into this long-lived inflammatory response, almost like an autoimmune illness. So it's really important for you to understand that although Lyme disease originates from a tick bite, the symptoms arise from an inflammatory process within your body. And therefore, it's so important that you receive an individual target treatment protocol. Two people who are both bitten by the same tick carrying the bacteria that causes Lyme disease can respond very differently. One group has been given the antibiotics and they do very well. Others have taken the antibiotics and they get worse. Right? And over time, they actually develop chronic symptomatology and chronic diseases over months or years, and their quality of life is really affected. Why is that? Because there was already a dormant inflammatory process happening within the body, and that needs to be addressed as well in order to heal your Lyme disease. So let's talk about the different stages and the symptoms. The first stage is called early localized infection. It occurs within 3 to 30 days after the bite of an infected tick that transmits the infection. But at this stage, the whole infection is still localized around the place where you got bitten. We also see maybe a rash. We call it erythema chronicum migrans or EM. It's sort of an outwardly expanding rash which occurs at the site of the bite of the tick, and the rash is red and painless, and the rash appears in this form of a bullseye and is characterized by this innermost portion which remains red, and it feels quite sort of thicker and firmer, the skin here, a little bit indurated, and the outer portion remains red and the area between these two portions is clear. That's why it's called bullseye. They say 70 to 80% of the affected people do display this rash, but 20 or 30% don't have this rash. So it's actually difficult to diagnose Lyme at this stage. As I said, you also have flu-like symptoms. You feel malaise, headache, muscular soreness, and some maybe have swollen lymph nodes along the neck or anywhere in the body. And then after a while we go into the second stage, the early disseminated infection. And after the onset of the local infection, within a span of a few days or even a few weeks, the bacteria called Borrelia begins to travel through the bloodstream. And then we have more the problems arising, right? At that point, this rash also appears at other sides of the body. You maybe see Borrelia lymphocytoma, which is a purple-colored lump that develops on the earlobe, maybe the nipple or the scrotum. And the skin condition is found in Lyme disease more with sufferers in Europe rather than in North America. Neuroborreliosis refers to acute neurological issues. About 10 to 15% of untreated people are affected. Maybe we see this facial palsy, loss of muscle tone in one or both sides of the face, meningitis, which can cause horrible headaches, stiffness of the neck, sensitivity to light, inflammation of the nerve roots of the spinal cord, mild encephalitis, which can lead, of course, to disturbance in sleep, mood changes, and even memory loss. So it really affects the whole body. An adverse impact of this disease is the disturbance of the electrical conduction system of the heart, leading therefore to an abnormality in heart rhythm. In iridology, we call the nerve leading to the heart the nerve bundle branch, and it's responsible for the electrical transmission. And when you feel anxious or panic, you feel like palpitations around your heart. That comes from this nerve bundle branch, and that can be affected as well. Later on, it goes into the third stage, late disseminating infection. And therefore, here we see more the chronic Lyme disease, the post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, which includes symptoms of Lyme disease as a result of the immune response of the affected tissues of the body towards Borrelia bacteria. So we have this double-edged sword here, that in the beginning we deal with the symptom of the infection, and then on top of it you deal with the symptoms of an overactive immune system and the immune response towards the bacteria. So it becomes more complicated. In this stage, the infection spreads entirely throughout the body, and untreated or inadequately treated Lyme disease patients can develop chronic or severe symptoms after several months of onset of the disease. It therefore can affect your brain, your joints, your eyes, your nerves, and even your heart. So the late disseminated infection includes maybe fatigue to the point of chronic fatigue. Fibromyalgia patients have that. Polyneuropathy, you maybe have tingling or sort of numbness sensation in your hands and feet. Encephalopathy means neurological symptoms. 5% of untreated patients experience neurological symptoms that involve insomnia, lack of sleep, cognitive difficulties, personality changes, and a general feeling of unwell, chronic fatigue, lethargy. It can go so far that you maybe have issues in balancing, weakness of the legs, bladder issues, to the point that you really have strong vertigo as well with the balancing aspect, pain in the back. And yes, we call it psychosis, which is a rare occurrence in untreated Lyme disease cases, where it refers to an abnormal condition of the mind in which a person has false beliefs or sees or hears things that others do not see or hear. It's basically a person who experiences a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, along with the delusional behavior accompanied with this derealization or depersonalization syndrome. It means the person is so detached from the so-called reality. I mean, it could be a good thing too, I'm not saying it's bad, particularly in this crazy world right now, but it definitely affects the quality of life, because I feel like I cannot connect anymore. This is like, it means nothing to me. Others experience acrodermatitis, chronic atropicans. It's a skin condition and has been noticed more in elderly people in Europe. Starts as this reddish blue patch of discolored skin, often on the back of the feet or the hands. And then we have the arthritis, right? Arthritis is very common actually in Lyme disease affected people. Particularly the knees are affected. In some people it can maybe involve the joints, the elbows, the wrists, hips, ankles or shoulders. There's a lot of swelling involved of the affected joint with pain which can be mild to moderate in intensity. Others experience Baker cysts. Is sort of like a cyst which is filled with fluid. It sits behind the sort of hollow behind the back of your knee, and it can rupture. So according to the overall integrated medical community here, we do know, although Lyme is triggered by an infection caused by a tick bite, there's much more to Lyme disease than that we just sort of blame the tick for. I talked about a weakened immunity, inhibited cellular function and protection. There maybe was a systemic bacterial infection in the first place. And don't forget your environment. Factors like exposure to mold or parasites are very important here as well. So someone struggling with Lyme disease may have all of these 4 issues or only one. And some people are able to overcome Lyme disease much more easily than others, therefore. Post-Lyme disease syndrome, where it gets into this chronic, kaleidoscope of symptoms, is how many doctors refer to the condition once it becomes chronic and continues to cause ongoing symptoms for many months and even years. So these patients do not respond very well to conventional treatments and can experience significant hardship. So what's the bottom line here? Well, everyone, you, me, everyone in the world really is hosting a range of different viruses, bad bacteria, fungus, even cancer cells in their body at any given point in their lives. But what's really important here is that your immune system is capable in keeping these invaders at bay. Right? That's why you need a more holistic plan, which also includes the immune system. So what are the conventional treatments? Well, healthcare providers often have difficulty diagnosing Lyme disease because it's not very obvious. It can be confused with arthritis, with lupus, with the common flu even. There are several tests which can help you to diagnose this. It's called Western blot and ELISA test. But some experts, however, feel that this test has a bit flaws and it's not always conclusive. Others suggest maybe direct microscopy, which is done by a few labs. There's one called Fry Labs in Arizona I can recommend, and that gives more accurate results. But once Lyme is diagnosed, the most common conventional treatment would be antibiotics like amoxicillins, among others. But the antibiotics treat only a small part of the disease, the actual or the acute infection, but not the entire condition and the series of symptoms. Now, antibiotics can also weaken the immune system over time, negatively altering the gut bacteria. We call it the microflora or microbiome, which is really important. It's the hub of your immune system, your whole digestive system. And antibiotics can kill, of course, the bacteria, but it can also kill the good bacteria, which you need in order to thrive. So that means antibiotics can be actually worsen the whole Lyme disease situation and allow the bacteria to spread more. So if you're interested in a health consultation, either for yourself and or your children, contact me at Medica Nova at health@medicanova.net. Medica Nova is my practice for integrated and educational medicine. We offer a unique blend of natural and cutting-edge therapeutic tools from homeopathy, iridology, sclerology, systemic herbology, advanced biofeedback, and health and wellness coaching, and so much more. Book your appointment today. So let's move on to the second part of this video, food for thought, the metaphysical meaning. As with all of my videos, I always try to bring you a little bit within, to your home. The mind and body connection doesn't separate your body. whatever you experience in life, your perception of life, how you meet challenges, all is expressed via your body. Your body is your best friend here. So usually I refer to Jacques Martel's references, but I couldn't find anything in his book, so I found a great article shared by Hilary Thing, which describes the deeper meaning of Lyme disease, very much to the point. Borrelia burgdorferi and its gang of parasites are uninvited house guests. They bully and steal from the coffers of peace and nourishment within the body. It's stressful to be sick, and it's downright traumatic what people with Lyme disease go through to get diagnosed and treated. There's hardly ever a straight path, even in the world of holistic Lyme recovery. So what is the meaning of this new epidemic that's associated with the human-generated problems of urban sprawl, increased levels of toxin accumulation in human tissues, and perhaps even genetic bioengineering of the Borrelia spirochete? Is Lyme disease another sign that we have strayed way too far from what human beings truly need to survive and thrive? What does it mean for each of us as individuals who either have Lyme disease or are the parents, spouses, or children of people struggling with it? And why does meaning matter? Well, any doctors who's paying attention will tell you that their patient's mindset matters big time. Lyme disease has profound effects on the emotional state, and the brain is one of the organs where the battle between self and parasite may rage. And I see that with patients over and over. Eventually, it's not about the tick bite anymore. It's about this conflict, this battlefield, with this parasite which is invading the person, and they feel like a victim. They feel helpless. They feel like they do whatever they can, and they still, don't heal. So that needs to be addressed, and we talk about with homeopathic remedies about it later in this video, how to meet this aspect as well. So on the journey to recover one's health, stress, emotional drama, past trauma, and even everyday emotional patterns such as overwhelm and anxiety can keep you held back, unable to break through the next level of healing. For some people with tick-borne disease, it's actually essential to learn to clear the energetic blocks and to heal emotional patterns that are keeping them stuck. I don't wish anybody Lyme disease, but for some it may be what they needed in order to come back home. There are many ways to work on these issues, from simple stress management to deeper practices that address the cognitive, mental, and emotional problems associated with Lyme disease. And there's a saying that it says, what you resist persists. But this means that when you are empowered to face and embrace the difficult symptoms, challenging constraints, obstacles, and even pain, both emotional and physical, this engagement can become a doorway for true and lasting healing. So holding high the vision of your complete recovery, healing from Lyme also is supported by the cultivation of peace and acceptance for the challenges of the present moment. This process alone brings healing to your body, mind, and spirit, and frees up vital energy for self-repair and renewal. She referred to Viktor Frankl's quote where it says, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. What I really liked about her article, that she was playing with the word Lyme and changed the whole frequency. So when you have Lyme, you have capital L dot, she referred it to love, capital Y dot to yourself, capital M dot to more, and capital E dot to everyday. So she changed Lyme disease into loving yourself even more every day. It's wonderful. And what would change for you if the meaning of Lyme was no longer associated with a destructive parasitic influence, but instead was a messenger to love yourself more every day, That's what Lyme represents. So take a moment to close your eyes and embody that message. Let it in, really deep. Let it sink into your beingness. And let a few neurons fire under a new spiritual paradigm. When you change the frequency, you change the behavior of your cellular structure. Your cells know, okay, when you feel negative, you can literally pull yourself down. But if you focus on positivity, more flow in your life, your cells respond according to it. So if you want to explore more about yourself, your wellness vision, what motivates you, and how to apply your strengths qualities in achieving the very best of you, then contact Medica Nova Wellness Coaching at health@medicanova.net for your 3 months coaching program. I'm coaching you to be well. Let's move on to our natural treatments. Well, the best way to overcome chronic Lyme disease is by naturally boosting your immune system, lowering inflammation, and also managing the root causes of your symptoms. Your body can overcome Lyme disease. Yes, it will take time, but it's all worth it. So the first aspect is change your diet in a more healthy, nutritious diet. Remove all grains, sugar, excess fruits, maybe even, and introduce an anti-inflammatory foods aspect. Bring in more bone broth, which contains the amino acid called proline and glycine, which can help repair leaky gut syndrome. Most of us have it, right? So it really enhances your digestive system. You also will need some supplements on a daily basis. And here I would bring in vitamin D3, who really boosts the immunity and plays a role in regulating inflammation within the body. I recommend 5,000 IU units daily, especially if you're vitamin D deficient. You want to bring in CQ10. It helps protect your brain and nervous system from degradation and inflammation, while also lowering symptoms like joint pain and aches. You maybe want to bring in 200 milligrams twice a day. I love medicinal mushrooms here. They have been proven to reduce reactions to inflammation and stress. Medicinal mushroom boost an intracellular antioxidants called superoxide dismutase that protects your cells. And they can also increase function of natural killer cells that literally can kill off the bad bacteria, and that's what we want without, suppressing your digestive system. If you have mood swings, you want to bring in vitamin B complex. It supports the metabolic and cellular functions, plus they help fight the infections and improve neurological health. Vitamin B6 here is very important. When you have a lot of inflammation within your body, and I'm not talking the inflammation you actually feel, it's a cellular inflammation, you're not aware about it, but it's there. You would really benefit from a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. They really support neurological and cognitive function. Take about 1,000 milligrams good fish oil daily, especially when it sort of contains astaxanthin, which boosts the absorption of the omega-3 fatty acid much more. Magnesium, another electrolyte, hundreds of roles in the body, particularly with affinity to muscle aches and spasms. Also like turmeric, curcumic, wonderful natural anti-inflammatory agent, reduces the joint pain, the headaches, and even helps with the damage to blood vessels and nerves. But the most important agent here would be the probiotics. Right, in the morning, get really a good product, definitely at least 8 strains and 50 billion units daily. That is really the core here. Look at and take care of your digestive system. So what are the healthy lifestyle changes? Well, first, change your diet, reduce nutrient deficiencies, improve gut health, lower your intake of harmful ingredients that are found maybe in processed and packaged foods. Reduce mold and parasitic infections. Look at your environment and make sure you rest. right? With Lyme disease, you feel fatigued, even chronic fatigue. Sleep 7 to 9 hours, who cares? It's your body, and you really need to take care of that, particularly with Lyme. Reduce stress and address emotional issues. Remember, stress, guilt, anger, frustration, they all make it worse. So naturally, overcoming Lyme disease can take time. But remember, you don't have to be a victim here. You change the frequency of the Lyme label to love yourself more every day. Keep saying that, right? And you will get better faster. So let's move on to the third part of this video, homeopathic remedies. I already mentioned that each individual case expresses individual symptomatology. Maybe you have only the headaches. Others maybe suffer from the rash. So with homeopathic remedies and the healthy lifestyle changes and the combo with supplements, you create your ultimate treatment protocol, which not only covers a general sort of understanding about Lyme disease, but your individual symptomatology. And that's why you have more success than other people to really kick Lyme disease. Homeopathic remedies for Lyme disease are selected according to the most prominent symptoms of the disease. So we really want to look into what is your individual symptom. And these remedies help therefore moderate the immune system and offer natural treatment for Lyme disease. Also, they don't have side effects and they can be taken by people of all ages. If you're not quite sure or need some guidance how to take these remedies, contact my practice Medica Nova at health@medicanova.net to book your appointment, or contact, of course, your personal health care practitioner. So most suggested homeopathic remedies in this video you can purchase in your local health food store or online. So it's nothing too complicated. They are available over the counter. In this video, I referred to Dr. Vika Sharma's suggested remedy list. I think it's very useful here. I want to share that with you. The first remedy is called Ascendrum Album 30. And here the keynote is you have the Lyme disease with chronic fatigue. So if the weakness and the feeling tired is really your keynote, use Ascendrum Album. It's a well-indicated remedy for weakness and body fatigue in Lyme disease. The remedy includes sort of a marked weakness, but also an extreme restlessness. So these people have panic attacks, anxiety about everything basically. But it's also indicated in cases of Lyme disease where there are tearing pains in the limbs, which get worse during the night, and while the person is at rest, maybe after exertion. But there's this sudden decrease in strength during the second stage of Lyme disease. It's quite indicative for this remedy. So when your main symptom is this chronic fatigue, but extreme restlessness, anxiety and panic at the same time, and these tearing pains, think of Ascendrum Album 30. Now 30 is the number behind the name, and that means the strength, the potency. And that's an over-the-counter potency you are available to purchase. Now if you have Lyme disease and you are dealing with the skin rash, I would suggest Lidum Palustra. Here again 30 or even 200 the potency. In my previous video when we talked about how to heal insect bites and stings, I mentioned Lidum Palustra already. It's a fantastic remedy indicated for any insect bites, stings, even snake bites here. And it's useful in preventing infections, right? So if you take Lidum right away in the beginning, you maybe prevent the infection to go further in the first place. It's also indicated for twitching sensation around the skin rash. The area of the tick bite is cold to touch. So here the keynote is the tick bite, but also the rash and the sensation or twitching sensation around the rash. If you're the one who suffers more from arthritis caused by Lyme disease, I would suggest the remedy Rusttoxico Dendron 30 as well. Has tremendous results in arthritis in general, but especially about the knee joints. There may be stiffness involved. When you get up from a chair, you feel all stiff, and then after a while, continued motion makes it better. Maybe painful swelling. It's better usually with warm applications. It's also indicated for joint problems in the elbows and the ankles. And there can be also a tingling sensation in the feet and other places of the body. So there can be this numbness and this tingling in the hands and feet, maybe. I mentioned it in the beginning of the video. So if your symptoms is more sort of centralized around arthritic pain, particularly around the knee joint, you have a tingling sensation, think about the remedy Rusttoxico Dendron. If you have Lyme disease and the main keynote here is constant headache, the remedy would be Belladonna 30. It's really indicated for migraine with patients. Headache is pulsating, throbbing in character, really strong. There's this extreme feeling of fullness in the head, and noise and light seems to worsen the headache of Lyme disease patients. Maybe cold air, head bath with cold water actually aggravates the symptoms, although, needless to say, people want a cold flannel on their head, but that would make it worse. Sort of hard pressure makes it actually better, right? Deep massage. So Belladonna 30 is a great remedy here for you. Sometimes these remedies can be intermittently administered, means you give the remedy according to each stage, and then you move on to the next remedy in line, whatever your body starts to show you and wants to express. If you have Lyme disease and the main keynote is brain fog, then the remedy Kali phosphoricum is here a great agent. It's well indicated remedy for patients of Lyme disease where there is this mental fatigue from overwork. So there's dullness of the mind, loss of memory, lack of interest in talking, and the person suffers maybe from forgetfulness. So it's sort of a low nervous condition with sensitivity. People are very easily fatigued. It's a great remedy for nervous exhaustion in general. Kali phosphoricum 30. If you're the one who now has the keynote of anxiety and palpitations, we're going to go more into the mental, emotional aspect here. The remedy is Aconitum napellus 30. And it's recommended for Lyme disease patients when they suffer from anxiety as a result of chronic effects of this disease. Like, by then they feel a victim. By then they feel like, I'm never get out of this situation. Patients go into a state of mental and emotional shock even. They even talk about, dying, I'm dying and I have a fear of death. I don't want to die. When it gets to that point, panic attacks and shocks, restlessness, inconsolable anxiety. With it, of course, comes tachycardia, palpitations of the heart, even fainting palpitations with tingling in the fingers, and palpitations from motion and pulse are other symptoms that call for this remedy. Right? So Aconitum napellus, I would say, wonderful remedy. In a acute situation, I would say adults, 1 tablet, it can be every half an hour or 2 to 3 hours till everything has calmed down. You maybe only have to take it for 1 or 2 days and then move on to the next stage, or bring it in back again if you sort of relapse and a week later have another anxiety attack. Right? It saves you taking antidepressants, right, or anti-anxiety medication. If your keynote from Lyme disease is vertigo or your balance is affected, the remedy is called Conae maculatum. This remedy you would have to order online. You probably don't get it in your health food store. It's very indicative for cases of vertigo, especially in Lyme disease, particularly in the later stages of the disease. Vertigo appears as a sensation where the person looking steadily at an object feels like the object is spinning suddenly. Vertigo upon rising, maybe from a chair or going down the stairs may be present, along with weakness and this inclination to sleep. Of course, there's this numb feeling in the brain as if you almost feel stupefied, which gets worse upon turning over in bed. Sorry. So, as I said, it's quite a complex situation, and you want to have your tools ready for all of these aspects. And isn't it lovely to know that you can do that and you have access to that, and it's also affordable. So if your Lyme disease has progressed to the point that a doctor has given you the label of psychosis, right, that you hear or see things which others don't, there's a homeopathic remedy called Thuja occidentalis. Wonderful remedy. We use it for warts as well. And it's a great remedy when suddenly the neurological part kicks in, where the delusions are so strong that you can't separate anymore what is real or what's not. So there may be fixed ideas, delusions in later part of the disease where they maybe see as if a strange person is by the side, and delusions as if the body were fragile at present. There's a sort of dullness of the mind with sadness. The person feels therefore depressed, isolated and alone. When I talked about this depersonalization, you are detached from everything. You don't connect anymore with anything. Thuja occidentalis could be really, really helpful here. So I hope that this video, again packed with educational information and useful guidelines, has inspired you to seek out more natural solutions. Remember, you don't have to be a victim of Lyme. This can be tackled, this can be changed around. Now, if you have any questions about the suggested treatment protocol, how to take the homeopathic remedies, contact my practice, Medica Nova, at health@medicanova.net. And don't forget to have a look at my website, medicanova.net, at the online academy, where you will find certified home study online courses in homeopathy for the whole family and beyond. Or if you want to know about homeopathy applied during pregnancy, birth and postnatal care, or you always wanted to study about health and wellness coaching, integrated mental health, quantum healing and so much more, this is the place to come. Next to being a healthcare practitioner, I'm also an adjunct professor at my local university where I teach online courses for over 18 years now in integrated medicine. So the courses which you can purchase in a very affordable manner are actually university standard courses. And they are provided with individual tutorials, which is really unique in this case. So have a look at my website at the online academy. And till next time, much love. Take care.